Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 5 of Warslug's British Armoured Car. Scale is 135. In this part I'm going to be carrying on building the interior as well as putting some of the structural work onto the car. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. The first thing I'm going to be doing is painting some of the interior walls. With that I'm using Red Colour 04 gloss white. Now you can use matte white as well if you wish. This is just the first coat. There'll be a couple of coats going on here, but interestingly, you don't want to paint this in a perfect condition. The inside of these vehicles are rough and ready, so I'm placing the paint on in such a way it's going to be pitted, and when I'm painting, I'm going to be painting in different directions. Now, I always advocate painting in the same direction, but because you want a sort of rough pattern, painting in the different directions is the way to go. The next part to be painted is part of the dashboard, and the base coat is River Aquila 16 Sander Yellow. This is going to have the wood effect, so once that's dried, I'm going to be using Life Colours LPW 19 wood deck sharpener, and if you watched the previous video, you'll see that's how I do my wood effects. So it's a two-step process, and the undercoat doesn't really matter the colour. It needs to be a light colour, probably a yellow or a beige sort of colour, but it doesn't matter so much. It depends what sort of pattern you're looking at, but as you can see there, I'm just trying to match up the colours. So it's back to the construction, and this is the part that I built in the previous video for the bulkhead of the engine compartment. Now that just gets pushed in between the frame. There is a couple of little location points for it to sit into. On the dashboard there is a couple of little decals put on predominantly the dials, and I'm putting on the normal way, and I'm using the micro set decal solution to set them. There's only a few to go on, and in fact these are the only decals that I'm going to be putting on the build. And just for added contrast, I'm just putting a couple of splashes of colour on the control part of the dashboard, some blacks and some whites. No bother listing the colours because it's an extra, and any colours will do, whatever takes your fancy if you have feel a need to do something like this. It's not really necessary to do it. I mean, you always get to see glimpses of it anyway once, even if you leave the compartments open. So just make your own judgment on it, really. The dashboard gets fitted into the side arm panel. There is a little location point for it to fit in. I recommend just doing the one side and then placing on the side panel itself. Theoretically, you can put on the side panels, then place this in, but it's easier to do it this way. The panel itself runs along the bed of the cab. It fits really well. It lines up really nicely. There's no need to sort of squeeze it into position as such. Once I married it up and I just held it for a few seconds, then everything was fine. And it was the same with the opposite side of the panel. The dashboard lined up beautifully where you may have to just gently prise it into position if you haven't put the initial dashboard in 100% straight. But again, the lineup was really good on it. Next is to make the top of the armour compartment, and this is the rotating collar for it. Now, the ring itself, there is also an up and down side to it, and the little ornament panels that go on will only go in one way. Dry fit these because the instructions on this particular part can be a little bit confusing, what way they go up. After looking at them, it is self-explanatory, but it is worth having a look, because if you just barrel into it, jump into it thinking, oh yeah, that fits there, you may get it slightly wrong. Now, the bigger panel I just fitted there, I recommend fitting that one first because it has a bigger notch in it to line up with the ring. After that, everything else just falls in place around the ring. Once it was set, it was time to place on the window armament. The location points are the 3 brackets usually on top, and it just pushes in. You may have to put a little bit of force in this just to get the knots fitting into the brackets. but it's very tight. You can open them up a little bit with your hobby knife if you so wish, but just be careful if you do so. And once it's on, I was able then to place it on top of the armament panels, and like everything else, it just fits in. You shouldn't run into any problem. The fit for this so far has been extremely good. And it was the same with the front. I did have to move it around slightly just to get the line up, but that was more of a me problem than the kit problem. There is little location points that you can line up. It's easy to miss them, and it looks like it doesn't sit prone, sort of like prods up a bit, but that's because of the compartment wall. When the other bits go on, it all links in. So as you see there, I'm repairing the broken part that I did earlier on, and that's just the little tension bar. And all I've done is taken a bit of sprue and heated it up and stretched it to conform to the roughly the same width of the missing part. And then I'll just simply fit it in. It's because these happened because these parts are very thin and very delicate, and I just picked it up in the wrong place when I was putting it on the flatbed, and I exerted too much pressure, and of course it just broke off. The next part to make up is the fuel tank. It comes in two halves with the end parts of the tank having to be placed on. Now you can either build up the entire thing before putting on the end caps, or you can do what I'm doing here. I'm placing them in before I put the larger bottom part on. As you can see, I've left the half on the sprue as well. The reason why I do this is just for easier handling when I'm giving it its first coat of paint. If you're doing it, check to dry fit to make sure it's actually not going to impede on the fitting. Sometimes the little connection points can be right on the joint, and you wouldn't be able to do this. But it's quite a good way to do it. That way, once it's dry, you've got a little handle then to hold the part to paint. And to paint it, I use Revit Aquacolor 91 steel for this. And while I've got the paint out, I'm just going to be going over the area that I repaired and just touching up on some of the parts. And after a bit of drying time, it's time to install these. There's two little location points that's in the bottom of the underside of the flatbed. The little notches in the tank itself will line up later on with some of the truck's mechanisms. The tank itself is surrounded by its own compartment, and the inside of these are painted with Revit Aquacolor 39 dark green. And also I've stated in the earlier videos that this is the main colour for the car. Now these fitted easily enough. Like with everything, just beware of your location points, but you shouldn't have any problems with it. It isn't a set of PSRs, and there is a top and bottom to these panels as well. Again, make sure that you've got the right way up. It is easy to tell, but we've all been guilty of it when we are building these things. We just barrel ahead, and we end up doing something wrong, again the wrong way around. The next part of the build all depends on how you want to display your model. These are little brackets I am placing on, and I'm placing on because I'm going to be having these doors open. So the instructions give you an option for assembly 1 or assembly 2. Yeah, it's quite simple to follow. These parts are quite small. There's 3 on each side, but there is a little location point for them, so it's quite easy to judge where they go. I'll just try and zoom in so you can see them a little bit better. They basically stand right on the edge of the opening of the compartment. And I'm making up the 2 side boxes that are going to go on the flatbed. Now, the instructions tell you to put the doors on the armour compartment first. But I had a look at it, and I decided to put these boxes on first before the doors. The reason for that was I wanted to make sure that these boxes fitted perfectly on the bed before I placed the doors on. Nothing was going to encroach on them. They are a simple design and easy enough to assemble. The only flashpoint is there is the end part where it curves in. Also, that's there to marry up with the armoured compartment. that has to be at a proper angle for it to fit. As you can see, there's two parts to this: the house for it and the actual bolts itself. Now it's a good idea to paint these now because you don't want to worry about getting the green paint on your work on the floor of the bed. There's two location points and they're quite long for this bed to sit on. It's a very good guide for the boxes to go onto. This is a little better angle for you to see them going on. It's a simple process. They can be a little bit tight, but I didn't have to open up the location point as such, but as I said, they're a little bit tight. You'll have to persevere with them. And next and last to go on for this part of the video are the doors. Now the doors, there's 4 doors in total. There's 2 small ones that go on the bottom and 2 larger ones that go on top of them. And these get connected onto the brackets that I placed on previously. Now you can either have them either sitting fully open like that, or you can have them at a slight angle going pointing inwards. It all depends. The instructions suggest at a slight angle, but again, it's a personal preference on this one. There's actually a little bit more to do that I forgot to mention. The part I'm placing on here is the central column support for the bench. I actually thought this part was overly large for the job it's doing, but it fits in quite well. And then the bench sits right in the middle of it, and that is painted in 07 black gloss Revoilk colour. I painted that off camera. So you can see that the central support and it just fits right in the middle. There is one massive location point for it to sit into. And the very last thing is the back support. And this is where I'll end part 5 as I'm placing this on. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds. If you subscribe to the channel, please do so. Make sure you hit the notification bell. That way you'll be kept up to date with not only this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.